Hello everyone and welcome back. We're going to move on to a different scene and different type of effects that I think can be combined with what we learned this week to create some really cool effects elements and maybe some subsolver to create some cool fade off effects. And I want to show how this is done and basically go over the setup and provide it as well. So really what we have here is all procedural animation that is done in a very similar way to how effects would be done, but the final visual does not involve a lot of sim. There's one layer of sim like a particle sim that is used to emit the circles in the center. That could be done in a different way as well without a sim. So let's take a look at the elements. So what we have here is we have primarily 3 or 4 main elements. One is the ring that is connecting where the wall intersects with this some sort of laser effect that is coming from the drone in the center. And then we have the scanning effect that is rotating right now. So this triangular shape with nice fall off that is rotating. And then we have a radiating circles, two of them or 3. Yeah, 2 that are just expanding and making the effects look darker in there. And then the rays, so we have 2 types of rays. We have the thick lines here, and then we have these nice scanning effect that shows up in various places. So it changes, basically it's an entire block that rotates. And I want to show how this is built, and it's all procedural. It's very cool what Houdini can do. So I have the system here, I have the setup. Let me hide this one. And we use a rock element from Megascan. So you can use a box or you can grab, I believe that you can download free stuff now. And let me show the rock element. So this is the rock we've used, and then we just duplicated it by hand to create something like this, to have some floor. And then the tube or the cave itself is created procedurally by creating a tube, applying grouping certain points at the top, applying a soft transform to flatten it down, and then a point VOP to add some noise. So here is just a noise, and I'm repeating it along the z-axis. So if I increase this, and if I set this to 1, then it's just a noise, right? It's a normal noise. But if we increase the frequency, you get this nice repeating pattern that repeats basically as it goes deeper into the tube. Smooth on that, second noise, another noise, and then a bend deformer to make it twist or curve out. And then transforming all of that and grouping it to call it a cave. This is the ground, and this is, what is this? Yeah, and this is another flat ground element, just to fill the in-between spaces. And then the camera is placed like this. So the camera is static. This is just the framing. And this soft transform thing that we did is doing that. So if I disable it, you will see that this part is now just uniform. Go with this. To add some variation to the cave, you can change the profile. And then another transform to frame it differently. All right, so that's really all there is to the cave. And the idea is very simple when it comes to creating these effects. Let me create a null and explain it here. So we're going to create a curve. And I'm going to look at the top and select the curve, template the environment, and I can just drag, or I can just click and create a curve like that. And then we can resample it to add more points and make it smooth. And then I'm going to change it here to be a NURBS curve. I'm not sure why it's not smoothing out, honestly. I'm going to convert it into a Bezier curve. Let's try NURBS curve. Yeah, it's smoothing out now. I don't think Yeah, something strange. Anyway, I just needed a curve like that, and then we're gonna use a carve node, and then blast the last or the first point. Let's see, and let me convert this back into a normal polygon and a carve node, and then we can animate the carve and delete point number 0 and keep that only. So let's do it the other way. Delete not selected, and now I can animate the carve, and the point is gonna travel, and I can create copy a sphere, and let's use a copy to point. And now if I animate the carve from, let's say, 0 all the way to 1, the point is gonna travel, the sphere is gonna travel. And the same thing would be correct if we copy a circle as well. And let's see how far we are. Okay, so we're not exactly in the center, so let me try and place the actual tube in the center, something like that. And then what I want to do is I want to orient this circle so that it follows the curvature of the wire, of the path of traveling, rather than just going straight. So I'm going to use a polyframe node. I'm going to compute the tangent, and I'm going to call that n. And now if I animate, the object is going to follow the path, and I just need to orient it to face the z-axis like that, so that it follows the orientation of the curve. Okay, so there, let's align it here. Just gonna transform it, transform the original circle by 90 degree, and computing the normals of the geometry. And now if I play through, so the idea is to create this curve and then have a point that is traveling through along this curve. So I'm gonna simply isolate that point. I'm gonna use a carve node and set it to 0 here and set it to 1 here. And now we have the curve extending. I'm gonna delete or keep only the point number 0, and that would be the root. And so you have a point here, and if I animate it now, if I play the timeline, it should travel along. I'm gonna create a circle, and I'm gonna copy that circle to the point. All right, and if I play through, you will see that the circle is now traveling along the path. But it's not, I want this to be oriented along the curve or following the tunnel shape. So we're gonna use a polyframe to calculate the tangent on the curve. I'm gonna use n, and that's gonna be my orientation using a polyframe node. So now if I play it, you should see the circle aligned. Then as I play through, you'll see it oriented properly. Now I'm gonna create a normal on this circle that helps us, that is basically, we're gonna create a vector that helps us shoot the point along this vector to intersect them with the circle, with the tunnel. And I'm gonna use the point position and say v at n is equal v at p, or minus v at p. And now if I look at the normals, you will see that all the points they have good orientation. I'm going to use that vector to shoot the point outward, and then if they hit the tunnel, they will respect the closest point they hit. And the curve needs to be in the center, so I'm going to put a transform. This is just an approximation, by the way, but I'm going to put a transform and try to place it somewhere like that. And let's see. And then I'm going to increase the number of points to 360 and use a ray node. And then I'm going to ray this circle. I'm going to turn off show guide because I know it's going to be slow. I'm going to ray that circle on my entire environment, ideally, which is here. So if I do that, you will see that now we have that circle projected. And if I play it through, you will see that it follows the shape nicely. All right. So let's say we want to create a duplicate of this circle, for example, which we did to get like instead of just one line, I want to get one thick line here and another one right behind it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use we have the normal of the geometry, but we can calculate the normal on the geometry itself. And we can ask this node to say, when you hit the geometry, I want you to import the normal. And I'm actually going to delete it just to prove that we are getting that. So I'm going to delete not P, but N. And then if we ray it, we can't delete it here because we're using it to shoot. So let's just rename it to custom. And then it's equal to the normal. And then here I'm going to delete N. And I'm going to use in the project ray, the default is normal. I'm going to say attributes, and the attribute name is custom. Okay, so now my data is called custom. And then when I click here, you will see I have an N attribute. And if I display only this and display the normals, you'll see that it's querying the surface normal. Okay, so let's create a point bop, or we can just use that to peek the geometry a touch. So we can peek it, recompute. I don't want to recompute the point normal. I'm just going to use the existing one. And here you see it's flipped, so it's not ideal, but it's working. The other thing that I also did is, instead of using this custom one, I could use the original one before the deletion. So let's do this. Let's copy it and do it here. And I'm going to turn off importing the attribute normal from the geometry. And then here we still have that old circular vector. So I can use it just to push the circle a bit. Now we have a double circle that we could use, something like that. And then we can add a poly wire to all of this and give them some division. And now we have some lines that we could use as our first element. So that's the idea. We want to project this onto the geometry, and then we want to do different layers. So the next one is going to be that rotating disc, and then the second one is the wires. So I'm going to go over the setup and show how they're done, and then hopefully with the file you guys are able to pick things up and reuse it. Thank you. See you in the next video.